Call the January the 19th, 2012 meeting of Farragut Municipal Planning Commission to order, please. We start out with the citizens forum. If anyone has anything that they wish to make a comment or say about that's not related to anything on the agenda tonight, you can do it at this point. Also, if anyone on the planning commission has something they want to say. Ruth, I think you want to remind us about a training.
Oh, there's a training next Thursday night at 6:15 that I'm doing for the Board of Mayor and Alderman on the Town Center District and architectural review. So if you are interested in getting a refresher course, you're welcome here.
Will you tell us who you are, please?
My name is Paul Barrett. I live on Sonia Drive. I just had a couple comments I wanted to make. One on floor technology to be used to help control traffic in the town of Farragut. You know, that's not a really big positive thing with a lot of people, but I'm 100% for it. One of the reasons we've tried to have speed calming issues on Sonia Drive and Avenue Lane for a number of years. We were lucky enough to have a couple sheriff patrolmen monitor the intersection at Sonia Drive and Avenue Lane, and over a period of about 2 weeks gave a couple hundred tickets to people running the stop signs and speeding on the road. It slowed it down until they left, and it's right back to just about where it was before. So if we can't get control via cameras, I'd love to see if we could contract out to the county sheriff department to maybe get exclusive support from some patrolmen in the town. I mean, I know we can't probably afford establishing a police department, but it would be great if we could get some additional, patrolmen, especially during the school hours and business hours and traffic. Another thing I wanted to mention, I'm against the lighting changes on Campbell Station Road. It's a 5-lane boulevard. Trying to give it a homey feel would be a challenge just by changing the lights, considering how far apart they are and how tall the current lighting is. I really don't think you're going to get the bang for the buck that somebody thinks they're going to get. I think it's going to be an effort and futility and a waste of money, but I'm against the Campbell Station lighting. That's what I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Then we'll move along on the agenda to the approval of the minutes for the December minutes. Do we have any changes, corrections? Do I have a motion for approval? Second? Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Item number 3 on the agenda tonight is discussion and public hearing on a concept plan for Robert's property, parcel 2, tax map 142 EC, formerly Farragut Station, located on the southeast corner of North Campbell Station Road and Sonia Drive, zoned R-1, OSMR, 11.74 acres, John Roberts applicant.
On the overhead before you is an aerial photograph of the property in question. This property is located on North Campbell Station Road between Sonia Drive and the high school entrance. This property was originally approved a few years back for a condo development, and as all of you know, that it was cleared and work was progressed to a certain point, and then the development went through foreclosure and the bank took it back over. Mr. and Mrs. Roberts bought the property from the bank. The property is zoned open space mixed residential in R1 district. The question before you this evening is not so much a question of use or anything like that. It is a question of determining where the 30% open space is to be designated on this property. 35% open space, being the OSMR district, that is the appropriate, that is the required open space reservation. As you can see from the aerial photograph, it's pretty obvious what was the area that was designated as open space as part of the development. Most of you remember this property when it was prior to when it was heavily wooded. and the entire site had been wooded at one point in time. At that time, before the clearing occurred, some of you may remember that this corner area here had a lot of kudzu, and even though there were some very large trees in this area along through here, the kudzu had pretty much taken over this whole area, and that area was cleared as part of the overall. And this is the area that was designated as the open space. Here's the property line. As part of it, this is a natural drainage way through here. They were required to build a retaining wall with that original development, and that actually is in place. The question before you is where this 35% open space should be designated. As I included in your packets, I included the wording from the ordinance, and the ordinance states, development shall conserve, insofar as practical, natural and man-made features on the site, including but not limited to trees, and I list a series of things that are to be considered. Trees is the first item that is listed on the list, so since that is really the issue in this particular piece of property. The question before you then is, really what you need to consider is, as you can tell from the request that's in your packet, this shows the original plan and the area designated as open space. This picture better shows the area that is being, this area where the trees are being eliminated. Go back to the aerial photograph. That's this area where these trees are being eliminated or removed. And the area would be regraded. The question before you as a planning commission is, why is it not practical to preserve the previously designated, currently undisturbed, heavily treated open space? The staff, excuse me, at your places is the list of staff recommendation. With regards to the concept plan, there are a few minor things missing in clarifications. The real issue is item number 5. As per the intent and purpose of the open space mixed residential district, the open space is to retain the natural features of the site. The proposed designated open space does not satisfy these open space parameters. In this case, it is the non-disturbed treat area in the center of the site that should be designated as open space and remain undisturbed. Designating areas that have already been cleared and modified does not meet the intent or requirements of the district. The open space mixed residential district specifically is designed to protect natural undisturbed areas. And I also include that this is a planning commission decision. This is not a staff decision. Staff's recommendation is that the original open space be retained. As you can see from the aerial photograph, that is the area where there's the natural undisturbed area. Staff cannot support the proposed design, which removes the very treat areas that were designated by the Planning Commission as meriting being saved. Staff believes it would be more appropriate for the house to be designed for the features of the site rather than the site being modified around the house.
Have any questions for Ruth?
I do, Mr. Chair. What was the original intent of the property?
The original intent of the property was for a mixed, open space mixed residential. There's actually over the years, I think, Richard, how many plans have you drawn for this site? Yeah, there's been a series of different development ideas. In the subdivision regulations, as I pointed out in the staff write-up, whenever you're dealing with a tract of land that's larger than your typical single lot, you have to look at it for potential future development. It's no different than what we did with Larry Doss and Tim Burnett on Evans Road across from the Price Farm, and also Walton Smith on Creek Road across from Avon Park. Walton Smith property should be fairly familiar to you, just from the standpoint of exactly what the Bank of Park Villas has evolved into or evolved into. We're still working out some details with that. The proposal before us tonight is for a single-family residence, but with the combination of this being the OSMR district and the requirement for 35% open space and requirement in the subdivision regulations to look at potential for future development, that is why it's before you, and the requirement for the concept plan to be provided.
Representing the property owner.
Yes, my name is Richard LeMay. I'm the engineer. Robert's here, as well as landscape architecture. Ray Patterson is here. And we're mostly here to answer questions, but first I want to make some comments. As Bruce stated, this is probably the 5th time this development has been here. And this is the only time we've been here without any traffic issues or any grading issues, primarily because the site's been destroyed already. We'll talk about that later. But I think this use for this property has certainly got to be one of the more pleasing developments that we've brought here relative to adjacent property owners and hopefully to the town. The Roberts have a house plan that they want to build. It's a large house. And the place we have it positioned on the site is the view they want. And also it's positioned better with the current grading on the site. The way the site's graded now, if you all been out there and anybody drive through the site, you can see that, and it's hard to tell from looking at this overhead view, but along that tree line that you're looking at, it drops straight down. The site was graded and the trees looked good when we had condos backed up to them, where some of the units had second floor exits out into this space. There's a vertical bank that rims that treed area that's showing on there. It's impractical to put a house that they want to build anywhere else on the site due to size. You can move it around, and I've taken circles and moved it around on the site. Any place you put it, you've got to grade that bank down. First of all, in my opinion, that's not even if you left it as is, with it being on a pinnacle like it is, sticking up in the air, it's not what someone would look at and say, that's a pristine open space setting. I think what we're proposing to do with the grading we're going to do, which is to flatten the slope, that would include some of that tree area, that gives them a more yard-like setting for their house. If they put it anywhere else, you've got to gouge back into the bank anyway, and then they've got, to save those trees, they've got banks on 3 sides of their house rather than just in the rear of their house. And I think what we've presented here is a good use for the site. There's not enough trees left on the site, including what we're taking out, to meet the open space requirements that were approved on that first plan. There were trees taken out that should not have been taken out on the first plan that's graded. The area we're taking out behind the house is a little over half an acre of that bank that's being taken down. Total open space requirement is 4 acres. And there's no way to get a treed area on that site, or not 4 acre trees on the site, I guess is what I'm trying to say, no matter where you put the open space. So we can't meet that requirement regardless of where we take the trees down. One other thing I want to comment on is what is open space for? You know, any of these developments I've ever brought in here, that are condominiums or subdivisions, open space is inside the development, and it's for the use of people in the development. Well, I would think since there's only one person in this development, that being the Roberts family, really, there's one entity that's going to be using this open space, that I think they could have some input into what open space they want and how that open space is going to be used.